Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of The Art of Conversation with Latosha Esaw, the show that is dedicated to inspire and uplift audiences by sharing positive stories, fostering meaningful conversations, and promoting a sense of hope and connection within the community. I am your host, Latosha Esaw, and today we're diving into an important question: what makes a community leader? From student organizer to neighborhood mentor, these roles exemplify the many faces of a community leader. Well, today I have someone who embodies all of these roles and inspires positive change, empowers others, and works selflessly to uplift and unite the community. It is such an honor to welcome my very first and special guest, who just so happens to be the proprietor of Giving a Child a Dream Foundation. I am beyond thrilled and excited to have Mr. Kelvin Gasson join me in the studio today.
Hey.
Welcome to the set.
Welcome. It's an honor to have you.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so let me slide by you.
Take this seat over there. Yes.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here with you.
Absolutely.
Be your very first guest.
Such an honor.
Wow.
Well, welcome to the show.
Okay.
And let's get started.
Yes, ma'am.
First, here's my personal opinion as it pertains to leadership. I believe that leadership isn't just about having a title. It requires showing up, taking action, and making long-lasting, effective, and impactful changes. It can be loud or quiet, subtle or blatant, as it may consist of a team or just one person, such as yourself. So based upon my ideology of leadership, how does your view of leadership align with my perspective? And what does leadership mean to you?
Oh, wow. So leadership to me means first being a good follower.
Absolutely.
First you have to be a great follower to be a great leader. And I'd be amiss if I don't acknowledge the people that came before me, such as my grandmother, my grandfather, the elders, our elders, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
My mother, just our elders, leadership. And then as we get to it, I was a hard-headed fella, so I didn't like to follow nobody. I didn't like to follow
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't like to follow anything until I started following the wrong path and got in a lot of trouble. And then I realized that you can't make it by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Your understanding, and I think that's what's happening with a lot of youth and mid-age people. They're trying to make their own paths.
Absolutely.
And if you go down a road that no one never been down, you don't know what the outcome gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
So after getting in a lot of trouble, you know what I mean, I realized, hey, when I got back to safety, let me follow them older people around. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Grandmama done laid the route down. You know what I mean? Let me follow grandma's path. You know what I mean? Let me add on to the path that she already made. And in return, it's just everything is coming so freely because I went to the right path.
So your perspective is, in order to be a leader, you must follow the right path?
Yes, ma'am.
That is a great analogy. What do you enjoy most about being a leader?
So I never even wanted to even be in this position, honestly.
Wow.
And sometimes I still feel like, you gotta make me tell, man. Cause you're human.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And when you see things that's not right, you know, you feed on that. You know, you try to give your opinion. Okay, you know, if it's not right, you've seen other people fall from it. You know what I mean? Let's try to make it better. You know what I mean? You know, and everybody got different walks, different backgrounds. You know what I mean? I was in the streets.
Yes.
I realized that a lot of my friends had it. You know what I mean? The money was what made me follow them. You know what I mean? I wanted the cars, I wanted the jewelry, I wanted the girls, I wanted everything.
Yes.
That they had. But then I had one of my OGs to sit me down and said, man, look, this is not what you want.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I'm listening to him. It was school night, and me and one of my good friends, Errol. But me and one of my best friends, you know, he got killed. But one night, me and him was on the block, and our OG that got all this money, got all the women, got all the cars, and he told both of us, it was a school night.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, man, you know, this is for when nothing else won't work for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When you can't get a job, when you can't get this. So our perspective was changed forever when he said that. You know what I mean? And after moving on in life, I realized that being a leader, you know, when you do more positive things, you just want to do positive. You want to do right.
Yes.
And it seems like the more you do right, it draws. You know what I mean? You know, good energy draws good energy.
It attracts, yes.
You know what I mean? You know.
Absolutely.
But then at the same time, you're gonna, no matter how good you are, you're human. Mm-hmm. And sometimes your decision, you might say, well, okay, I'm gonna put on red makeup today. Somebody might be saying, I don't like red makeup.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean? You know?
Yes.
So they're gonna hate on you because your lip. What about the work I'm doing? You know, don't worry about the lipstick. That's my preference.
Absolutely. So how would you describe your leadership style and how has it evolved over time?
Okay. So right back to being you got to be a great father.
Yes.
If you're gonna ever be a good leader, that's like our parents. You know what I mean? You know, our kids. You know, my grandfather, when I was coming up, and I was devilish, you know what I mean? I was just, because we didn't have, you know what I mean? So,
yes.
So I was devilish because I didn't understand that somebody else's mama was able to get them charged because they was in a little better shape than we were. You know what I mean? I just thought that.
So you mean like your leadership it evolved, like first you would follow, but then you would set like a path that, hey, this is the path that I need to establish for younger youth to follow.
Right.
Follow the right path.
So
did it evolve from I'm now following to these are the steps that the next generation must take in order to succeed, stay out of trouble, and do great in life?
Those are the holes, because the holes that I fell in, you know.
Yes.
So those holes that I fell in, I try to make a platform so they won't fall in those holes. You know what I mean? So don't worry about the clothes and the distance and, you know, about your situation. You might be poor. Your lights might be cut off. You know what I mean? Just always give it your best.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
What values are important to you as a leader? Like, what are your core values of being a leader? Like,
it's God. Everything is centered, and it's got to be God.
Absolutely.
It's got to be God.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You know, and when you make him the center, everything else, you know what I mean? You know, he's going to open up doors that you could never open up. He's going to make ways for you that
absolutely
never be made. You know what I mean? You know, he's going to give you favor. I mean, like your show here tonight. You saying this is your first time, but the energy is here.
Yes,
it's like
absolutely.
You
but
hit
it's
it.
not about the energy. It's as I told you before, your works never went unnoticed. I always watch what you do on social media.
Thank you.
And I saw how impactful, even if it impacts one person, I know how meaningful that is to keep young children out of trouble.
Right.
Because in this generation and time, we don't have many positive leaders.
Right.
I know from our generation, we had people that we could actually look up to,
Right.
you know, to be set on the right path. So when I see all of your work, although I may just look,
Right. I mean, I
I may
appreciate
not
you.
say anything,
Right. I
but
appreciate.
it always stayed
appreciate
within
you,
my
yes.
heart
Right.
with everything. Yes.
Right. Wow.
All right. And with that being stated, how would you describe the difference? I know you have the Giving a Child a Dream Foundation. What's the difference, in your opinion, between a manager and a leader? Like, I know they're similar.
Right. So a manager, I was on a job, right? And when I started making money, my supervisor would always come up and be like, do the right thing. You know what I mean? So I'm like, man, I ain't doing nothing wrong. What you mean by do the right thing? You know what I mean? So it boiled down to, like, when we, especially as blacks, when we get in position, you know what I mean? You know, they want us to change the world. But you, like, well, the world wasn't changed for me. You know what I mean? And this right back to being a good follower.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And this is why I say you got to be a great follower in order to be a great leader.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And he was just planting seeds for me to say, well, okay, do the right thing. You know what I mean? And I came from so far.
Yes.
And I was at the mid, and I still got a long way to go. You know what I mean? You know, but I was at the midway point, and by him just saying, do the right thing, it just opened up so many things. And then I heard Tupac on a song the other day, and he said, and I never, you know, I'm a Tupac fan.
Yes.
I love Tupac. You know what I mean? And on the song, it says, why they want us to do right now that we got so much money, but when we was broke and we didn't have nothing, they didn't give us a chance. You know what I mean? And I'm listening, I'm like, wow, it's been 30, 40 years ago, and it's still the same thing.
Yes.
You know?
Well, speaking of Tupac, who are some of the leaders who inspire you and why?
Okay. So, on the hip hop side?
Well, in general, like, who inspires you mainly?
I used to, I would say, like, my mother, I thank God for,
Yes.
my pastor, you know, family members. I had some mentors that I looked up to, and they let me down. You know what I mean? You know, it's crazy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because they, it's like some people they'll see it for you, but when you show them that you're an overachiever,
Yes.
then they feel a little afraid. You know what I mean?
So you feel like they tried to shape your world, but it was too small. They didn't want you to grow out of that box.
Right.
What
You know what I mean? You know, because if you're a mentor and I look up to you, and I come to you, and I know you can help me, and you don't help me, you know what I mean? I'm like, wait. But it's good because then it makes you fend for yourself.
Yes.
So you're not crippled, you're not a handicap. You know what I mean? Then you keep going.
So so you would say your mom is your primary person that influenced you to get you on the path to be a leader?
So I'm gonna go back to my roots. I'm gonna go back to my grandma was a hustler. You know what I mean? You know, so I'm gonna say she influenced me. My grandmother used to work for the convalescent home. You know what I mean? At the store convalescent home.
Okay.
So she wound up turning her home into a nursing home. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So she keep old folks. You know what I mean? And so she didn't have to work with nobody. You know what I mean? You know, so she turned her house into a home. You know what I mean? So and I can talk about it. That's my grandma. You know what I mean? Nobody else can talk about it. But she was a bootlegger too. You know, she just said a bootleg liquor back before my time. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So she always had the art of hustling. You know what I mean? This is my grandma in the country. You know what I mean? And she wanted to build her a club. So one morning we woke up and we went outside and we see the people out there laying the foundation in her yard for the club. She never finished the club, but she you know what I mean? She would start with it. She would sell chicken. Anything she can do to make some money. That was my grandma. You know what I mean? You know, she was a hustler.
So that's where you got your hustle from?
That's one side. Okay. Now, my other grandma was a pastor. You know what I mean? You know, so I had the best of both worlds. You know what I mean? I would see her work 3 jobs to keep her church going, you know what I mean? You know, and so, you know, and my grandfather, he was a poor guy, poor wood, you know what I mean? We was poor, but every Friday he would make sure all the grandkids that was at his house got $1.
Oh.
You know what I mean? You know, and back then a dollar meant a lot, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, so he made sure all of us got $1.
Mm-hmm.
And he would tell us, if you don't got no money, don't go into people's stores.
Absolutely.
So I never knew what he meant by that, you know what I mean? Not going to people's stores. Well, till I went in the store one day and I wanted something, but I didn't have no money. So of course, what I did, you know what I mean? I stole and got caught stealing, you know what I mean? You know?
Yes.
So I had to tell him before he died, you know, I had to go back to my grandfather and tell him everything that he ever told me was the truth. And because I seen the gray hair on his head, I thought he didn't know that. Like a lot of these young kids today, when they see gray hair, oh, they don't know nothing. You need to listen to old people. If you want to get old, you better better listen to old people.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I can tell that you have been influenced heavily by, you said, your grandmother, your grandfather, because I see that you incorporate hustling in your work, those strategies within your body of work. Your area of expertise as a community leader, you do have the power to connect individuals collectively on a larger scale, in which I believe this will resonate with people on a deeper level. So you're doing something for the future generation as well, because you are bringing effective change within the community. And with that being stated, we'll be right back after the break. It is time to put down those electronic devices and pick up a book. If you're looking for a YouTube channel that helps you discover the joy of reading, where every episode brings books to life, sparks imagination, and inspires a lifelong love for literature, subscribe to Blanche's Book Club, where you control the narrative by submitting your favorite book to read, as it is selected to be uploaded to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Welcome back to the show. So let's pick up from where we left off and discuss how it all began for you. How did you start your leadership journey?
How did I start my leadership?
Yes.
You really want to know?
I really want to know.
Leadership can come from the worst places sometimes.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Leadership comes from the worst places. So my leadership journey actually came from jail.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am. Jail. I was locked up looking at 15 years behind bars.
So it was that pivotal point you said, I have to make a change. I have to inspire others to make a change, because this is not the way to go. So,
well, I didn't understand what was happening.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You know, when I was locked up, 3 months before I was locked up, I was shot. You know, I almost lost my life in a robbery attempt. You know, somebody tried to rob me. Recovering from that, I mean, I had a bullet hole. I was shot dead, point blank in the chest. You know what I mean?
Wow.
You know, yes, ma'am. So the bullet hit me, and one bullet left 4 holes in my body. You know, went through my chest, through my side, and through my arm, and on the other side of my arm. And I had to sit and look at the guy go to shoot me again. You know, looking at like, all this in my face. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So the power of prayer. You know,
Yes.
Yeah, definitely the power of prayer. And I still didn't wake up though. You know, because I had my reputation in the streets.
Wow.
I had my name. You know, I'm on Sprinkle. We got the Sprinkle boys. They got the crew.
Yes.
So I'm back with the crew. You know what I mean? And when I got locked up, I mean, I've been a lot of places in life.
Yes.
I done been out the country. I done been so many trips, but excuse me, that time that I was in jail, but nothing in life could ever top that, because it was able for me to get me together.
Yes.
You know, I was incarcerated and I seen guys go get life plus 60 years, 30 years, 50 years. So it's reality now.
Yes.
And I was blaming my daddy because I grew up without my dad.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I was blaming my daddy, you know what I mean? Like, And I was in my cell by myself. And I said, how did I get in this cell? You know what I mean? How did I get here? And I said, man, you know what? My daddy. And I can remember my hand being just like this, you know what I mean? And I know it was the Lord. He said, your daddy didn't touch them drugs. You did, you know? So when I had to give accountability for what I did, it wasn't about what nobody else did to me no more. You know, it was about what I did to myself. And when I began to take that accountability, everything else was obsolete. How can I get myself out of here? You know, and I prayed and I asked God to give me another chance at life. I said, just, if you give me another chance, if I had to shove, you know what I mean? You know, excuse my language, if I had to shove, you know what I mean, manure. Yes. I was like, that was the lowest thing I could think about. But at the time, I was at my lowest.
Yes.
And I said, God, if you just give me another chance. You know what I mean? I wasn't going back. And he opened that door for me. He gave me another chance. Yes. And I ain't looked back. You know, the most powerful and dangerous person is a person that had their freedom taken away from them. Yes. You know what I mean? You know, that mindset, when your mind been locked up and when they get free, it's supposed to be, you're supposed to be. And if you use it right, it'll work right for you. Yes. But you got some people go to jail and just figure, well, okay, I made a mistake. Maybe I need to try it. I need to go more to the left and not the right. Yes. Nah, if it didn't work for you, it just wasn't for you. Try something else. Yes. What would you say to someone who wants to lead but they feel too young or unsure? Be that young leader. You know, that's why our foundation, Giving a Child a Dream, came from. You know, I can remember being little and not always looking at the airplanes in the sky. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder how it feels to ride in one of those planes. You know what I mean? You know, that was just me. Like, how do it feel to ride? So I'm just fascinated. I would go to the airport in Colombia and just look at planes. Yes. And Husqvarna, I thank God for Husqvarna. Yes. It put me in my first airplane. Wow. And they sent me to Seattle, Washington. It fixed lawnmowers. Yes. And when I got on that plane and realized that it's a whole big world outside of Orangeburg. It's bigger than Orangeburg. Yes. I didn't look back. You know what I mean? That was more fuel where I needed to go. Okay. What was your biggest challenge as you started on your path in your leadership journey? How did you overcome it? Like you mentioned, you have the Giving a Child a Dream Foundation. What was the challenges that you had to overcome to get that established? I know that's a great organization as well. And it's still challenges. The funding, and it seems like every time I'm about to give up, somebody out the blue will just bless me, man. You know, I want to be a blessing to your foundation. You know what I mean? I love what you're doing for the kids. They'll donate something, and it's just, now I got more hope to go help other people, you know, and it's a big help. It's a big blessing. Okay. Like I said, your works never go unnoticed. Thank you. What's one leadership lesson you learned the hard way? It could be anything, like where you're at now. Like, I shouldn't do that again. What's one lesson you learned the hard way? Putting too much of hope and trusting people. Absolutely. You know, people gonna let you down. I mean, and it's not that they and you got some people that intentionally gonna knock you down, that's gonna let you down. Yes. But then you got some people that's in it unintentionally gonna knock you down, and it's gonna be God, because He don't want you to depend on people. Yes. You know what I mean? He wants you to depend on Him. Yes. So if He allows somebody to bless you, you take that and you run. You know what I mean? But it's favor. So one hard lesson that I say, like I say, just thinking about people gonna do it. People gonna like you today, and they ain't gonna like you tonight. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, that's people. Okay. But keep pushing. Okay. How do you continue to develop your leadership skills to remain relevant, like in this generation? I know that everything is digital, but I see you physically out there putting in the hard work, getting people involved. You know what I mean? You got to keep your boots on the ground. Yes. You got to have your boots on the ground. Yes. And I think even that's how that sound. That's how come that song was so powerful. Because so many years people had boots on the ground. You know what I mean? You know, and when you finally made a hook for it, okay. You know what I mean? You know, and it's just catch because you got so. I'm not the only one that's doing. I know it's a lot of other young black guys that, if given the opportunity around here, they would do the same. You know what I mean? But when you got families, like everything was a sacrifice for me. Everything, you know, and people don't see. They see me going now. They don't see me when I was working Husqvarna full time. School full time, and I'm trying to run my lawnmower business full time. All this full time. So I had a guy that stopped me at Family Dollars, and he said, "Man, how can you do all that?" I said, "What you doing today?" He said, "I don't do nothing." I said, "Man, see, you know how much time you waste? You know what I mean? Keep in mind, I didn't make all my classes on time. I didn't made it all my clients. I had to tell some clients, hey, look, if you got to get somebody else, I understand. You know what I mean? You know, and even my professors, you know what I mean? I got when I graduated from state,
Yes.
everybody was laughing when I walked up to practice, right? So I'm like, what are you people laughing for? And they had an award. They gave out an award, like, most likely to be late. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So when I didn't even know what they was doing. You know what I mean? And they were like, hey, man, we got the award. It was me and another young lady. She was a business lady.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And they gave us the award that we was going to be most likely to be late. But then one of my professors, when she found out what all I was doing, she said, why you didn't come to me and talk to me? She said, I would have gave you a break. I said, no, I don't want nobody to feel sorry for me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I dropped out of school. I made those mistakes. So, you know, I had to man up. And I want to thank God for my wife. Because at the time, we had 2 small kids.
Yes.
And I was working 3rd shift. And so when I would maybe see my kids for 2 hours because I'm doing all this in the day. And then I got to tell my wife, but get the kids so I can take about a 3 hour nap. You know what I mean? It was just limited. And she stuck with me, man. It was like those 2 years. We did this for 2 years. And we made it through.
So it sounds like, like your significant other motivate you to
Teresa,
lead and keep you inspired.
Oh man, I can't. You know what I mean? You know what's a Superman without a Superwoman? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Who has been a significant influence on your leadership style, and what do you learn from them besides your mother and your grandmothers?
The people I help. You know what I mean? You know, my youth, my mentors, kids, they go through things too. You know what I mean? You know, and most of the time, what you leading or what you preaching, you're gonna have to eat those same words somewhere down. You either ate those words, or later on in life, you're gonna have to use your same wisdom to help you through the situation that you're gonna go through. So helping those kids. For the last 4 years at OW, I was working with some kids. One of my mentor students, out of 4 years, only been to school maybe 4 weeks out of 4 years. Now, I'm talking about 4 weeks out of 4 years because he had a hearing impairment. And he didn't want people to look at him sideways, you know what I mean? So he played that tough guy. And guess what? All the other kids gravitated around him because their house was an open door house. You know what I mean? You know, just ready to drop out. At their house, one time I went to pick up some kids to do some work. I seen a 15-year-old who couldn't count change.
Wow.
Yeah, 15 years old and you couldn't count change. But he had his color. If I needed to shoot somebody, he was down for that. You know what I mean? So they gravitate to each other because guess what? Nobody judging them. You know what I mean? You know, and it hurt me, man. When the principal, one day I took him to the basketball game and he said, man, dog, those kids look so much better. You know what I mean? And when he said that, I felt a little bad because I'm like, if you see them struggling, you know what I mean, help them. You know what I mean? You know, find something to keep our kids in school.
Yes.
You know, meet them where they're at.
So those would be like your core values when you see that you being a mentor to the kids, it affects change. They attempt to do better. Since those are your core values as a leader, how in some way, form, or fashion does that guide your decisions? Like, what should I do next to keep the children influenced?
Um, that's a hard question. But it makes you do the right thing, first of all. You know, because even when you want to do right, you know that you got people looking up to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That you can't let them down. You know, so when you hurt, because I'm hurt, I be hurt, man. People think you don't have feelings.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Okay, he a leader, he smiled, he helped this, he helped that. I got feelings. People got feelings.
Absolutely.
You know. So just knowing that that they're looking up to me, it keep me, okay, let me find something that's positive to do, not negative.
Yes. And with that being said, we'll be right back. If you're looking for a YouTube channel that serves as a vibrant source of encouragement, inspiration, and empowerment for viewers from all walks of life, subscribe to The Art of Conversation with Latosha Esaw, where we strive to paint positive conversational art with you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. You got it all inside of you. Thank you for staying tuned as we come to the final discussion about community leadership. So let's dive in and talk about your nonprofit organization, Giving a Child a Dream Foundation. What inspired you to become a founder of this organization, and what are its core values?
When I was young, growing up, running the streets, I had so many friends that lost their lives, but what was left was their kids. You know what I mean? You know, so it was like, what about the kids? You know what I mean? So it's touchy, but it's needed. You know what I mean? You know. So walking down those aisles, and then you looking at these little babies, and their mama or their daddy not coming back home. You know what I mean? So like, let's do something for the kids. You know what I mean? So actually, when my foundation started, it started just to be a organization for kids where parents have been affected or lost by gun violence or incarceration.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But as we grew and as we begin to get more, you know, we realized that it just wasn't those kids that needed the help. You know what I mean? It was other kids that just needed a safe place as well. So we opened up that safe place for all the kids and for the parents. And I thank God, you know, it's doing numbers that I thought would never. I mean, you know, it's touching lives, and everybody don't realize that when you can change somebody's life, you know, that's when you living. You know what I mean?
Yes. What are your biggest challenges that your organization face, say, on a daily basis? Like
funding.
Funding.
Funding. Let's talk about that. Funding, finances.
Okay.
But at the same time, you keep going.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You know, when we started with the center this year in Roosevelt Gardens,
Yes.
the center was closed so long.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And every manager heard about me. They came to me. I like, first thing y'all got to do, y'all got something that I don't have. Y'all got a building.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You know, let's clean this building out. So Ms. Mink was able to clean the building out. You know, she said she reached out to some people. They promised her chairs. You know, she said she reached out to the school. She reached out to the police department. Nobody never gave her no chairs. So I made some phone calls, and I was able to get chairs and tables in there. It was a challenge because when we started there, you had kids in the 5th and 4th grade that was coming to the center that couldn't read "duh" and simple words in the 4th and 5th grade.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I thank God for the Boys and Girls Club, Miss Laura. You know what I mean? They was there, and some other people that came along and helped us and partnered with us. My job, Family Solutions, you know, my director, Lamika, you know what I mean, and some of our managers, they came, I had to let them see. I was like, I want y'all to see that these kids are struggling reading. And the kids just needed somebody to encourage, not to laugh at them because they couldn't read.
Yes.
They just needed somebody to take a little time out with them because they couldn't read. And when we finished, you had those kids being able to read comfortably. And it's still going on right now. We got, I thank God for Maroon Innovations, Miss Baraka Cheeseburger. You know, she's got the mobile reading mobile, and she partnered with us. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And she came and she helped the kids with their reading. So, you know, God, like I said, you know, the funding was a challenge, but then God sent help. So it's God.
Awesome. What is the primary message that you would like to convey within the local youth as it pertains to your organization?
Don't be no follower. Be a leader.
Yes.
You know what I mean? The jailhouse is real. The graveyard is real.
Yes.
You know, success is real too.
Absolutely.
You know, I used to play sports, football, my thing. I used to make the paper, but I never had nobody to push me to the next level.
Yes.
So when I got on the block, I would come and show my friends, hey man, look, I'm in the newspaper for running football. But guess what? They had the same broken down dreams. Nobody
Yes.
took that chance
Yes.
with them. So they didn't encourage me no more. You know, they kind of made them a little sour. And I didn't understand that until I started being around them more. Oh, this guy got talent. He was more talented than me.
Yes.
You know, so when I graduated at South Carolina State, I watched one of my classmates get drafted, Javon Hargrave.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And he was a free agent at first. Pittsburgh Steelers that got him, and then Philadelphia Eagles that liked him. They gave him a deal. And San Francisco gave him $84 million.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And he was right there in class with me. We used to be in class sleeping together because I don't work all third shift, and they had early morning practices. You know what I mean? So whoever wake up first be laughing at the next person. So if they woke up before I did, they laughing at me because I'm back there to knock out.
Yes.
And if I wake up before them, I'm laughing at them because they up there to knock out.
Yes.
So being close around things gets you closer to your dreams.
Absolutely. And lastly, how can someone reach out to you or the Giving a Child a Dream Foundation?
Okay. Well, if they want to, they can feel free to call me 803-308-7550. That's 803-308-7550. You can call me. Check us out on Facebook, Giving a Child a Dream Foundation. That's GIVING, A Child a Dream Foundation. You know, and we here. I mean, come on and help us. We need help. And we're not selfish.
Yes.
You know, I'm not just tied to Orangeburg. We working on some stuff. Allendale, we found out today that Allendale is one of the most underserved counties without food.
Wow.
The kids of food lack. You know, there's a shortage. So we're working on doing some things down in Allendale with the youth as well.
That's awesome. And that's all for today as we learn what it takes to be a leader. Leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about stepping up, showing up, encouraging, and uplifting others. So what did you do to make your community school or workspace even better? I highly encourage that you go onto the Art of Conversation, go in the comments and write what do you do to make your community and leader better. Share your story. Go to the Art of Conversation with Latosha Esaw YouTube channel and write in the comment section below about your leadership skills and how you made a positive impact that made a significant change within the community. Hashtag the Art of Conversation with Latosha Esaw. I would like to thank my very special guest, Mr. Kelvin Gatson, for sharing his leadership expertise. Please like and follow his nonprofit organization on Facebook, Giving a Child a Dream Foundation. Thank you to my viewers for joining and investing in your own learning experience. And as always, I would love to think conversational art with you.